Welcome again, Jambo, hello, salam alaikum, and namaste. Here we are again at Ammijaan's kitchen. Obviously run by Shalina, but Ammijaan's kitchen. And today, it's not really my recipe, it's Emma's recipe. And she loves this. She makes it every so often and has it for a whole week for breakfast. It's originally for a dessert, but Emma has adjusted the measurements and made them so they're a little bit healthier, and it's a good breakfast cereal. Not really cereal that you have with milk, as you will see when we explain the whole thing, it'll make sense. It's a version of the wheatlets, but these ones are, and she's written it down for me, cracked wheat, so I don't forget to tell you the right thing. So here we go. We're going to start by explaining our ingredients. So this here is cracked wheat, in case you're looking for it in the stores. We picked it up in the Indian stores. I don't know if I found it in Superstore or anywhere else. And in Indian store, they call it dalia, and it says cracked wheat. And of course, that's in French. So that's cracked wheat. It looks a little bit like semolina as well, but I guess maybe not as refined, I imagine. And then she's going to have, she's reduced the amount of butter. There's raisins. There's sugar, water, milk, and what we have done here is already added the saffron to the milk, and you can see it's already changing color nicely. Nutmeg, we won't put the whole thing, we just got it here, and we've got a nice little grater, and we're just going to grate a tad in here. And this is cardamom. What I do is I just take a few pods of cardamom and basically blend them in a bullet or ninja, whatever gadget you have, or a coffee grinder, and then you have fresh nutmegs. One of these days we'll do a video where I'll talk about all my spices and how I make them, and then you'll kind of get an idea how that comes to be what it is. So there we are. We're going to do today a cracked wheat breakfast slash dessert. If you want to sweeten it up a little bit more and butterify it a bit more, it would be a dessert. So here we are. We're going to heat the butter up, and the butter is, there'll be a recipe at the end as usual, but that's a quarter cup. So we're just going to take this, the skin off, the paper off, and we're going to drop it in the pan and let it come a little bit melted-ish so we can start putting our cracked wheat. And Emma said I'm supposed to fry that cracked wheat until it starts to turn a little bit brown. And she said we'll smell it, and it will look like it's done. And this dish in Indian is called lapsi, like a lap when you run around a field, and then SI at the end. So it's lapsi. So there we've got our butter. Now we're just gonna wait for it to do its thing. And in the meantime, just to give you an idea what's gonna happen next, for this pot here, we have, according to Emma's recipe, 2 cups of water. So that's going to be 2 cups of water and, pardon me, my goodness, a 1/3 cup of sugar. Isn't that a beautiful ball? And that's actually a 1/3 cup measure. So a 1/3 cup of sugar and the water. And we're not actually making it into a syrup, Emma said. Basically what you want to do is just melt the sugar in the water and then just bring it to a light boil, and we're going to turn it off. And I imagine the next step will be, when this is nice and brown to where we want it to be, we'll probably add the raisins and then wait till they pop, and then the sugar syrup comes into this, and then we'll take it to the next step. So here we can hear the butter. I'm going to turn it down to about 5 or 4. I think it says medium heat, right? So we're just going to do this. Just stir it up a little bit. There you go. That sims quite a bit, but remember, this will swell. That's the one thing it is. It's kind of like the wheatlet thing, which swells quite a bit. So I don't think I'm going to wait now till it completely melts. It's almost there. So here we go. And this is, again, there'll be a recipe at the end, but it's 1.5 cups of cracked wheat. So here it goes. And we'll just stir it up nicely. So you have just enough butter. I think she reduced the recipe of the butter, but this is just enough to give it a good coat. You want it to be coated, otherwise it's just going to burn in pockets and not have quite that taste and flavor that you want. So there's a little chunk of butter still there, but not a problem. We'll get it dissolving pretty soon, and I've got it on about 4 because I don't want it to burn. Okay, and in the meantime, when the whole thing is done, the last step is to put it in the oven. But she says you want the oven kind of preheated, so we'll go ahead and turn it on to 350 degrees and just leave it on. And the way Emma has explained it in the recipe is when you put it in the oven, you then turn the oven off. So it's not like you're waiting for it to be at a particular temperature for a while. I guess the idea is the soft heat of the oven will just let it expand to its maximum. Okay, so we're going to keep frying this, and I will turn on my little stopwatch so I can give you an idea how long this took. And we'll see you soon. So hello again, here we are. We've been cooking this only for about 3 minutes, and looks like they still have a couple more minutes to go. It's starting to change color. You can see it's a little bit richer brown, and you can see the shine of the butter on each and every grain, which is really nice. So we're going to leave this for a minute here, and now we have to get that sugar syrup happening, so then it'll be ready to do the mixing. So remember, this was 2 cups of water. It will be in the recipe. I put it on high because the whole idea is we want to bring it to a boil, right? So that's 2 cups of water. 1.5 cups was it of sugar? Yeah.
No.
No, it wasn't. Oh my goodness, I'm blind. It's a 1/3 cup. 1.5 cups would have been way more. Now, do I put the sugar in right away? Okay, so the sugar goes in right away. And let's just give it a quick stir. And meanwhile, I can't leave this down. I noticed that if you don't stir it, you can start to smell it. So we got to keep moving this. There. Okay. It's getting a nice color. And you can get that nice aroma from it. Really nice and sweet. So here we go. And this one is still doing its thing. I think I might bring it up to high. Maybe I should have had that started a bit earlier. So, you know, you can learn from me and not do it that way and maybe cook it a little bit sooner so it's ready for you to get it together. But it's still good. And I believe the raisins go in when it's ready. So time-wise, again, just to give us an idea, that's coming up to about 5 minutes of cooking. And then we're going to throw in the raisins, and the idea is for the raisins to pop. So here we go. And then let's just stir them up and keep mixing it. You can see that beautiful brown color. It's really nice. And keep stirring it. Okay. There we are. Scrape the ends up as well, so you don't have one getting all crunchy and hard on the side there. Keep it moving, and I'm going to turn it down again a little bit, only because I'm a little bit behind on my syrup. So I don't want it to get any more cooked than it needs to. But the raisins are just now beginning to pop, so we are okay for a while. So keep stirring it. So here we are. I switched the burners because obviously this is a bigger burner, and as I said, I waited too long for the syrupy thing to happen. So now the water is boiling. So you want the water to boil. So it's just coming up to a boil now, and I've just put the cracked wheat on the lower heat here. And you know, if you get stuck like I did, there's always a quick kettle happening, and you can do that. Now here, a little word of caution, please. I'm going to turn them both to minimum and switch pans. So this one goes here, this one comes here. And now when I add, obviously, that boiling hot water to this dry, crackly stuff, it is going to bubble over. So please be cautious when you do this, okay? So I'm going to turn the stove off for the back burner, leave this on minimum, and here we go. All of it at once? Mm-hmm. Okay. There. You can see it just quickly wanting to take in the water, right? Beautiful smell. There we go. This actually totally like that, what is it you call? Cream of wheat, which personally, we have it a bit different. One of these days we'll show you that as well. So there we go. Keep stirring it. And I think we did it right. Otherwise, if it was been too dry, it wouldn't be able to absorb the water. But it looks pretty good. So we're going to keep stirring it for a while. And the idea now is we're going to crank that heat up a little bit more. All this water that you see should basically disappear into the wheatlets, right? The cracked wheat. So here we go. We keep stirring it. I've got it on 4, but we'll put all that down. And by the way, the frying of the cracked wheat, we timed it was exactly 6 minutes. So we'll put that down on the recipe, and then you know what to expect. It's so much easier when you have an idea and an anticipation of a time. The oven just beeped a few minutes ago to say it was preheated. So that's all ready to go. You can see how it's absorbing in now. The water is disappearing. And we'll keep cooking it a bit longer. And we should have had a time on this, but we'll give you an idea at the end. So here we are. We timed it. We've been cooking it for about 5.5 minutes. And there it's beautiful. You can see all the water has disappeared. And the raisins are nice and popped there. It's looking lovely and creamy. So now we're coming to our next stage. I turned the oven off. There was no point, because at the end of it all, we are going to put it in the oven for the entire hour. It's basically turn the oven off and forget about it for a good hour. Go watch a TV show or a movie and then come down and it'll be ready. Here we are. Okay, this is our milk with saffron, and it's gonna go all in. Just to bring the camera in, you can see how it's boiling. All that fat is starting to separate from it. That's perfect, and there goes the milk. And this is the little bit of cardamom that we had. And you know, to make it simple, I'm just gonna, which is what I do normally, is just take my nutmeg and just grate right over the top. And don't ask me how much that was. And there we are. So let's give it a stir. Some people might like a lot more nutmeg, you know, within a 1/4 teaspoon or less, but I think you can judge it. That's too bad you can't smell through the video, because it smells beautiful with that saffron and the nutmeg and the cardamom and the sugar and the butter, and it's looking lovely. So 1 rolling boil, that's what Emma says, and then we put the lid on, turn it off, and it goes in the oven, and then we go up and watch a movie, and when we come back down, that will be breakfast tomorrow morning. Or if you want to try a little bit, why wait tomorrow, have a little bit as a dessert. And in the recipe, we'll put exactly how long we put it in the oven. But right now you can see the milk is now going to do what the water did. Once we start to boil it, trust me, all this milk will disappear at the end. This is how it's going to look already. It's been in the oven no more than 10 minutes. And we're going to just give it 1 good stir and put it back in. So you can see already its milk is all absorbed. But that's it. We're going to leave it like that. Give it a bit of spacing in there. And leave it again in the oven, and we'll come back and check it again. So here we are. It's been about 40 minutes going back to our lapsi, and it looks beautiful. It's already, as you can see, nice and firm and yet moist, and tastes delicious. So there it is. Enjoy your lapsi.